Hello and welcome to Integrity Radio, a platform where we talk everything maritime. So good to have you come on board. I'm your host, Folashade Adiromu. On today's edition of the program, the blue economy and national security will be our talking point. And to take us through that conversation, Dayo Ebidunmi, an energy, maritime and supply chain consultant, is my guest. It's so good to have you join us on today's edition of the program. How do you do, sir?
Thank you very much. I'm very fine.
So to begin with, the issue of maritime security is a major concern at both international and regional level, which over the years requires all ends to be on deck to fighting maritime crimes. How does the blue economy impact Nigeria's national security, including issues like piracy?
National security transcends beyond protecting the citizens from harm, from, external aggression or attacks. It involves also, because what's the point protecting me from harm if at the end of the day I'll be safe and yet I won't have food to eat, I won't have shelter, I won't have energy for my daily activities. What about my environment if my environment is not safe? So national security involves so many other non-military dimensions. And the blue economy, from what we have seen so far, has potentials to really improve the economic and social conditions of the country. The government can actually explore and exploit the blue economy to provide jobs, to create industries, to better manage the resources of the oceans and the coastal areas, to ensure environmental protection, to ensure that there is steady energy supply for the people. And then there are so many other social and economic benefits which can actually guarantee the security of the people of this country.
When we talk about, some of these issues as regards security on our waters, how well have we performed in the last, few years?
The only way we can answer that question is to look at the statistics. There has been a massive decline in the level of attacks to vessels, to ships, and the maritime security incident generally. Since for the past 2 to 3 years, there's been a steady decline. As a matter of fact, for 2023, I think there's just been only one very insignificant incident within Nigerian waters. Yes, I think there was this some guys boarded a vessel at Tinkan Island, and they were armed with knives, which shows you that they are not really
a serious
serious threat. And then the moment they got to know that the vessel and the people around had gotten wind of their boarding the vessel, they escaped empty-handed. So if we're looking at statistics, there's a downward trend, and we can say that we are doing very well.
To what do we owe this? Who are we going to be giving the credit to?
Well, piracy, first of all, let us ask ourselves some questions. Who are the pirates? Why are they involved? All right. So Nigeria is not the only maritime nation. Nigeria is not the only country that is endowed with oil, that is exporting oil, So, but then, if you look at, the piracy network in the world, you discover that some of the countries or the areas, the regions where these things happen have some things in common, right?
Okay.
What you discover is that there is usually bad governance. Those who get involved in piracy are those who have a feeling that they are being neglected, that the benefits of the maritime business or the oil and gas business or the coastal related activities are not really trickling down to them, and that is why they do these agitations. You understand? So, but let us come back to Nigeria. Here in Nigeria, we know the history of how all this unrest and attacks started. From the 1990s, the agitations in the Niger Delta, and later on, there was the amnesty program. There was a reduction after some time. It increased again, and then recently we've seen a lot of support from foreign countries, support from regional. There have been regional collaborations, military, in military and intelligence and all that. And then we are also seeing we are now seeing these reductions. But if you look at it again from another angle, you will discover that there are some other factors that are responsible for why we have this decline. Last year, I think about 5 security contracts were, given to those that were some, people that were involved in those agitations in the Niger Delta before now. And then, just like if you go to Oshodi now, under bridge, the rugged areas, and you stroll into the place and your phone is stolen. Somebody picks your phone. You can actually get your phone back if you're able to get to the right people within there.
Well, that's true.
Yes, when you get to the ghetto, we have people that rule the ghetto. So once you are able to meet them and pacify them, within minutes, your phone will come back. And these guys actually have a cut from whatever a crimes.
From whatever.
Thank you. So at the end of the day, they dictate what happens. So if we now have about 5 very lucrative contracts running into millions of dollars, or billions of dollars being given to these guys that happen to call the shots, around these coastal areas, and then these things are dropping, then definitely that the regional corporations and all that may not just be what is responsible for the reduction.
But then, Samuel, someone will also tell you that are we not trying to encourage what they are doing?
Yes. If you ask me, in my own opinion, I think the whole problem started when we did an amnesty program. It's just like, the average citizen, going about their normal lives and trying to be law-abiding, is not given any consideration. It's not assisted by government. It's not being considered by government. But once you take up arms against the state, or against you start stealing, or you want to start terrorizing people, then the government calls you and say, hey, come, I'll give you amnesty. I'll send you abroad for school. I'll support you. I'll so we are, that is how we got it wrong from the beginning. So, and with that trend, because if you are giving somebody that was formerly a criminal, or somebody that was involved in some kind of crime or some kind of terror, if you are giving them a contract to prevent crime, then what message are we passing across? We need to start telling ourselves the truth, so that that's the only way we can change the narrative. So I think we are actually encouraging people to take up arms, to get involved in crime, because they will be seeing it that apart from even the benefits they will get directly from the crime, they will get recognition, and then they will get lucrative contracts or some other benefits, even from the government directly.
So when we now talk of, checkmating and also nipping in the bud the idea of insecurity, especially amongst these coastal communities, where do we start from if we're going to look at it?
Yes, thank you very much. That's a very good question. And then I want us to look at, the other advanced countries that have the kind of resources that we have. Norway has oil. Canada has oil. But you've never had any incident of piracy around them. They have maritime. In Europe has vast maritime, business. You don't hear of piracy in Europe. So why? That is the starting point. What are they doing differently that we are not doing?
Okay.
All right. I served, during my National Youth Service Corps, I served in a community called Sokobolo in Burutu local government of Delta State. And this was just one small island, and they had 2 flow stations. And within this island, there was just one stretch of road, less than 1 lane. And that stretch of road only existed because it connected the 2 flow stations. I was fortunate to go to one of those flow stations, and when I got there, I discovered how much oil was passing through that flow station. But this community is living in abject poverty. The people in that community do not have access to good housing. They don't have good water to drink.
Basic social amenities.
Yes. As a matter of fact, they don't build brick houses. As at 2011, when I served there, I think they had just about 5 brick houses in the whole community. Houses were built with roofing sheets.
Wow.
Because you can't dig 3 to 4 kilometers, 3 to 4 meters underground without meeting water. So the cost of building one brick house in that community is, like a third of the cost, or it's like a third of the cost of building one on the mainland. So the community is completely neglected, and then I start wondering, and I say, so if I'm staying in this community and I'm seeing these things happening, I see how much resources pass through this community. What will I be encouraged to do? So the first thing we need to do is to ensure that, the proceeds from maritime business and the exploitation of the resources in the area benefit the people in that area. Because apart from, the economic benefit, we also have environmental problems caused by all of this. Best practices are not employed, and that's the reason why we have all these environmental problems. There's pollution. The traditional industries of fishing and farming, is being bastardized because the people can't fish. They can't go to their farm. There's a lot of toxicity in the land. And then what do you expect from them? Ordinarily, the human instinct is survival. The first instinct of a human being is survival. And when you want to survive, what do? Whatever it comes around, you just try to do whatever you can to survive. So that is where we need to tackle it. Because obviously, the reason why even the advanced nations are supporting us with respect to military, collaboration, giving us intelligence, is because they are part of those benefiting from our maritime industry, not the people. There was a report by the European Parliament in 2019 where it was mentioned that, the reason why piracy and other crimes abound around African waters is because most of the benefits, the profits, from maritime activities, from oil and gas activities, go to either the central government or a few elites or the companies, international companies involved. So the people have nothing. All right?
So they end up sabotaging the system.
Exactly. Just to get something out of the system. So what we need to do is to go back to the basics, make sure that we have a formula for the resources that are coming in to benefit the people. The people should have good schools. The people should have sources of income. If you go to Europe today, parents don't get to pay school fees for their children. All right? They have good housing at affordable rates. Food is the cheapest thing you can buy. But here, the reverse is the case. So we need to go back to that. And that's why we need to focus on this blue economy, make sure that we get all the benefits that we can get from the blue economy so that it impacts positively on the people.
Are you thinking that this ministry looks too big and cannot, the waters there cannot be watered by one single ministry?
No, not at all. Not at all. The ministry is basically the ministry. The primary function is maritime transport. Maritime transport, maritime operations, offshore operations, just what NIMASA, MPA, and NIWA does. Those are the primary activities of that ministry. So the other aspect of what the ministry needs to do is to coordinate with others, with other users of the ocean, other businesses around the ocean, other departments having things to do with the ocean, so that at the end of the day, there will be synergy and there will be unity of purpose. All right, the objectives can be aligned, and then benefits will be better, and then the environment can be protected, secured and safe. That is basically what they do. So the main business, of course, if you look at it, you can't. Before we had the Ministry of Transport, handling maritime, handling rail, handling road transport. So the portfolio
Even
is
then,
manageable.
I think the complaints then were the fact that the ministry only focused on transportation.
On road transportation,
on road
rather.
transportation,
Yes, exactly.
leaving the marine to suffer.
Yeah. So now you see, with the global trend in agitations for improved climate change, for sustainability, for better fuel, environmentally friendly energy sources and all that. There is no two ways about it. The global demand for oil will gradually decline. Yes, in the near future. There's no two ways about it. Yes, we have countries already saying that by 2030 there will be no vehicles using fossil fuels again. The UK has retracted and added 5 years to their own. They have extended it by 5 years. But that tells you that you need to refocus, because in Nigeria today, about 70% of our revenue in our budget is from oil, and about 95% of our foreign exchange earning is from oil. We need to diversify.
So looking at this new ministry and this new administration, are you seeing a sign that they are really ready to, want to develop the maritime sector and make it participate the way, the oil industry is? Exactly
where I was going. You just got the words out of my mouth. I think this is really commendable, to focus on maritime, have a ministry on maritime, so that we can look at maritime holistically, develop it, and then make sure that it is earning. The potentials that we have, in the maritime industry, it's not being, exploited at all. If you look at it globally, we have, tonnage of about 1.5 billion tonnage of shipping in existence, and Nigeria is just about 1.6, less than 0.1%. So we have a lot of potentials. We are an import-dependent nation for now, and we have a lot of potential to export a lot of items, a lot of goods, a lot of resources. So if we put in efforts to develop our maritime industry, there are no limits to what we can achieve.
So still coming to how this new ministry can help us possibly put food on our table using the maritime industry and all opportunities we have in respect of security on our waters. What are some of the things you will be expecting them to introduce or possibly reintroduce as against what we have operating currently?
Okay, like I said, we already have, about the NIMASA's Deep Blue project.
Yes, the Deep Blue project.
Massive assets have been deployed, surveillance, monitoring, and patrolling. We even have 2 aircrafts. We have several, about 10 or 15 armored vehicles, for patrolling the coastal area, and about over 600 trained naval personnel to man. So we are doing very well when it comes to the military aspect. No two ways about it. All right. But what we need to do differently, like I said, is to ensure that the benefits of this industry trickles down to the people. All right. We should look at how to generate employment. We have so many of our seafarers, let me not call them seafarers here, because most of them have not even gone on board.
Oh.
Yes, many cadets that have graduated from the different maritime schools roaming about without jobs because there are no vessels to even go to do their sea term. What are we doing about that? That is one way to generate employment. If we can put policies in place that gives us the capacity to own vessels, to have vessels, all right? Then apart from that, even foreign companies that have vessels that are doing business with us, we can give them incentives or come into agreement with them to ensure that they take our seafarers on board, so that, that the employment area can be stimulated. Philippines has, so many, in fact, about 5% of their GDP is from, what their seafarers earn. What stops us from doing that? We have brilliant minds here. We have youths that are strong and capable and willing to work in the maritime industry. We can tap into that, and this problem of unemployment that we're having will be significantly reduced.
For some industry watchers, they're still going to come to the fact that international cooperation and partnership are 2 key things that would help drive, a particular nation's security. So how well are we doing in this regard as a nation?
In terms of collaboration? Well, I think we're not doing badly. but we don't have clearly defined objectives for collaboration. We don't have a system for measuring whether we are doing well over time. So by the time we put those things in place, all right, we can say, okay, these are our objectives for the next 6 months, for the next 12 months, for the next 2 years, and then in 6 months we go back and say, these are the actions we put in place. Where have we done? Where were we? Where are we now? What was the target? What is the variance of what we have actually achieved from the targets? Until we put these things in figures, you understand? We operationalize them. We will just continue to play to the gallery and hold press conferences and say things on a very, very vague and ambiguous level, and at the end of the day we get applauded and we'll go and collect all our awards and then we'll clap for ourselves, and then the situation remains the way it is.
Which of these agencies will the ministry be working with at ensuring safety on our waters?
You're not talking about security now. Safety, maritime safety, preventing.
So makes it that there are two things.
Yes, but you're talking about safety now. So safety has to do with preventing incidents, maritime accidents, that leads to, maybe injury and loss of life, that leads to destruction of our maritime assets or equipment. Another aspect is protecting our environment from pollution. All right. So the responsibility rests on the Nigerian Maritime and Safety Agency.
Okay.
They have marine and environmental department, I guess, and they have all the policies, they have all the policy backings, and then they go to the ports. They ensure that operations are carried out according to these policies. We need to ensure that the standards are not compromised at any point in time by the vessels coming in or by the port operators or by any other stakeholder that has any activity to do within the maritime space.
So when we now talk about security, which agencies of government should we be looking at?
Unlike in the US, that they have the Coast Guard. We don't have Coast Guards yet, but we have the Nigerian Navy, and we also have the Marine Police. These are the people that are saddled with ensuring security of our waterways. They are working closely with NIMASA because at the end of the day, the primary role of the Navy is not maritime security per se. It's to protect the country from external aggression that's coming from the waters.
How much do you think technology should be explored for the Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy?
One thing that technology gives us is that it gives us the capacity to have transparency. It gives us the capacity to have visibility. There's a lot of paperwork happening within the maritime domain. We can actually replace all these paperworks with technology, so that at the end of the day, every activity leaves a trail. You can easily audit. You can easily generate data when operations are digitized.
Before now, we have had experiences when we talk about private security firm helping us, manage piracy on our waters. Are there opportunities for them in this new ministry?
There are two areas of their involvement. The first one is be involved in monitoring the waters, boarding vessels to check for, issues, and probably arresting perpetrators. But I don't think we have that yet. I know we have private security organizations handling pipeline surveillance and other trying to prevent oil theft. The private security companies that we have operating in the maritime industry are not really involved in enforcement.
Okay.
So what they basically do is that when vessels come in, they help those vessels to arrange for other smaller crafts like gunboats that can, maybe escort them in. They also help them liaise with the Navy to provide personnel. The Nigerian Navy does not have enough vessels to protect every vessel that comes into Nigerian waters. Okay. So the private maritime security companies are very much local agents, that are acting as middlemen between foreign shipping companies coming in here, or even local shipping companies, and the Navy. They have good relationships with the Navy. And I believe that the Navy regulates how they operate.
Well, that's where we wrap things off today. Thank you so much, Samuel Dayo Ebidunmi. He's an energy, maritime, and supply chain consultant. It's been so nice having you talk about the blue economy and national security, sir.
Thank you very much
All
for
right,
having
then.
me.
Okay, it's a pleasure. So we'll leave it at that on today's edition of the program. Folashade Adiromu is my own name. To enjoy the rest of your day.